Right, so Christmas morning, cuppa in hand, Quality Street already half demolished, and what do Good Morning Britain serve up? A pre-recorded highlights reel. Classic. Nothing says live breaking news quite like watching Ed Balls, Susanna Reid, and Kate Garraway reminisce about the year that was, while the rest of us are trying to work out if we've got enough turkey left for Boxing Day sandwiches. But here's where it gets juicy. The festive special didn't just divide the mince pies, it absolutely split the audience down the middle. And the fallout? Well, let's just say some viewers reckon it's time to give GMB the sack entirely. Welcome back to UK Political Insight, where we dissect the drama so you don't have to. I'm bringing you the chaos, the complaints, and the curious case of a Christmas Day broadcast that's got everyone talking for all the wrong reasons. Buckle up, because this one's a cracker. So here's what went down. Christmas Day telly, right? Traditionally a safe space for repeats of The Vicar of Dibley and films you've seen 17 times but will absolutely watch again. GMB decided to shake things up with a festive special featuring their star trio looking back at what they reckon were the standout moments of the year. Susanna Reid, ever the political journalist at heart, banged on about her favorite interviews, particularly grilling Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Chancellor Rachel Reeves during Labour's first full year back in government. Fair play, those are big gets. She also name-dropped Wes Streeting, the health secretary, because apparently holding politicians' feet to the fire is her love language. Respect, honestly. Kate Garraway, meanwhile, went full circle with her Bridget Jones moment, chatting to Renee Zellweger about grief and parenting, which, credit where it's due, sounds genuinely lovely and heartfelt. Ed Balls was presumably just vibing, being Ed Balls, which is a solid career move if you can pull it off. Now, you'd think this would be relatively uncontroversial. A bit of reflection, some political chat, a dash of celebrity interview nostalgia, standard fare, really. But no, because this is Britain, and if there's one thing we excel at beyond queuing and complaining about the weather, it's complaining about television. And complain they did. Social media absolutely lit up like a dodgy string of Christmas lights, and the criticism came in hot. One viewer kicked things off with the accusation of biased reporting, which, let's be honest, is the go-to criticism for any news program that dares to have an editorial perspective. Fair or not, it's a charge GMB faces regularly, and it clearly hasn't gone away just because Santa's doing his rounds. But then it escalated. Another viewer went absolutely nuclear, claiming that GMB had ignored the two biggest stories of the year, Gaza and Ukraine, in favor of endless coverage of reality TV. Strictly, I'm a Celebrity, Love Island, Britain's Got Talent, Bake Off, the lot. They branded GMB a morning version of The One Show, which, ouch, that's a savage burn in the world of broadcast journalism. The accusation essentially boiled down to this. You're supposed to be a news program, so why are you acting like a glorified entertainment magazine? And honestly, that's a legitimate question. Where's the line between covering what people want to watch and covering what people need to know? Then came the real kicker. Another critic pointed out that BBC Breakfast consistently beats GMB in the ratings and suggested it's precisely because GMB spends 10 minutes on actual news and the rest banging on about reality TV and celebrity gossip. They even threw in the challenge. When did GMB ever have a reporter in Gaza? That's a pointed dig, and it speaks to a broader frustration about priorities in modern news broadcasting. Are we informing or entertaining? Can we do both? Should we even try? These are the questions that haunt every producer's nightmares, and GMB's Christmas special just dragged them all out into the open like an unwanted game of charades. But hold on, because not everyone was sharpening their pitchforks. A whole other contingent of viewers took the opportunity to shower Susanna Reid with compliments about how incredible she looked, because apparently you can't discuss journalism without someone commenting on a woman's appearance. Welcome to 2025, where things have changed, but also not really. Others sent warm Christmas wishes to the team, keeping it wholesome and festive, proving that even in the midst of a social media pylon, some people just want to spread a bit of joy. Good for them, honestly. We need more of that energy. Now let's zoom out for a second and talk about what this whole debacle actually reveals about the state of breakfast television and, by extension, British media more broadly. GMB operates in a weird space. It's caught between being a serious news program and being light, accessible entertainment that people can watch while getting ready for work or, on Christmas Day, digesting their body weight in roast potatoes. That balancing act is tricky. Too serious, and you lose casual viewers who just want a bit of banter with their cornflakes. Too fluffy, and you alienate the audience who actually care about holding power to account. Susanna Reid clearly is in the latter camp. She's a proper journalist who takes political interviews seriously, and her passion for that work came through loud and clear in the Christmas special. But the format of GMB, with its rotating segments on celebrity gossip and reality TV drama, often undercuts that gravity. It's like trying to have a serious conversation about economic policy while someone juggles flaming torches in the background. Technically possible, but distracting. And here's the thing about the criticism regarding Gaza and Ukraine. It's not entirely unfair. These are massive, ongoing geopolitical crises with profound human consequences, and the accusation that they've been sidelined in favor of lighter fare is worth examining. Now, to be clear, GMB has covered both conflicts throughout the year, but the question is one of emphasis and airtime. If you're dedicating significant chunks of your morning show to dissecting the latest drama on Love Island, while complex international stories get brief mentions, what does that say about your editorial priorities? It's not an easy answer, and there's no perfect answer. News programs have to balance what's important with what's engaging, and sometimes those two things don't overlap as neatly as we'd like. But when viewers start calling you out for being the morning equivalent of the one show, that's a sign the balance might have tipped too far in one direction. And then there's the broader cultural context here. We live in an era of fragmented media consumption. People don't all sit down and watch the same news program anymore. They get their information from a dozen different sources, curated to their interests and biases. In that environment, a show like GMB has to fight for every viewer, and that often means catering to the lowest common denominator. Celebrity gossip and reality TV chat are reliable ratings generators. They're easy to consume, they spark conversation, and they don't require much background knowledge. Hard-hitting political journalism, on the other hand, can be dense, depressing, and divisive. It's crucial, but it's not always fun. So the temptation for producers is to lean into the fluff, because that's what keeps people watching. But the risk is that you lose credibility, and once that's gone, it's incredibly hard to get back. Now let's also talk about the specific complaint regarding BBC Breakfast beating GMB in the ratings. That's not just a random bit of snark. That's a data-driven reality check. BBC Breakfast has consistently outperformed GMB in viewership, and there are a few reasons for that. The BBC brand carries weight. It's seen as more trustworthy, more serious, more committed to proper journalism. Whether that perception is entirely fair is debatable, but perceptions matter in this game. BBC Breakfast also benefits from not having to chase advertising revenue in quite the same way, which means it can afford to take a slightly more highbrow approach. GMB, as an ITV program, operates in a more commercial environment, and that inevitably shapes the content. You need the numbers, you need the advertisers, and that creates pressure to deliver content that's broadly appealing rather than niche or challenging. It's a structural issue as much as an editorial one. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite all the criticism, despite the calls to axe the show, despite the accusations of bias and fluff, GMB still has a loyal audience. People still tune in. They still engage, even if that engagement sometimes takes the form of angry tweets. And that matters, because in the modern media landscape, engagement is currency. It doesn't always matter if people are happy with what you're producing, as long as they're talking about it. Controversy drives clicks, outrage drives shares, and all of that keeps the show relevant. So in a weird way, the Christmas Day blackout might actually be good for GMB. It's got people talking, it's generated headlines, and it's reminded everyone that the show exists. Whether that's the kind of publicity they actually want is another question entirely. Now, Susanna Reid's comment about loving political interviews and holding politicians' feet to the fire is genuinely commendable. That's what journalism should be about: accountability, scrutiny, asking the tough questions. Her interviews with Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves were important. Labour's first year back in government has been rocky, to put it mildly, and having someone like Susanna pressing them on the difficult issues is valuable. Same goes for her chat with Wes Streeting, who's trying to navigate the absolute minefield that is the NHS. These are conversations that need to happen, and they need to happen on platforms where millions of people can watch them. The problem isn't that GMB does this stuff, it's that the mix of content around it sometimes dilutes the impact. When you're sandwiching a grilling of the Prime Minister between a segment on Strictly and a chat about Love Island, the serious stuff can get lost in the noise. Now, Kate Garraway's moment with Renee Zellweger is a different beast entirely. That's human interest storytelling, and it has its place. Kate's been through her own incredibly difficult journey with her late husband's illness and death, and that lived experience gives her a unique perspective when talking about grief. The fact that she connected with Zellweger about the themes in the latest Bridget Jones film is sweet, and it's the kind of content that resonates emotionally with viewers. It's not hard news, but it's not fluff either. It's somewhere in between, and that middle ground is actually where a lot of people live.